speck in a deep timber. Seems to be one of my favorite places. And I'm looking for elk sign. So confident am I that I'm not gonna see a buck. Yeah, that's where my muzzy is. Which means I might see it. That's how it works, right? So I got all my tags for the year. And getting tags is getting increasingly more difficult. But I got my annual multi-season tag, a cougar tag, and a late season rifle cow tag this year. And what it amounts to is that if you include scouting season, which is already underway right now, I mean, scouting before the hunt, I'm looking at the longest hunting year I have ever had. Archery starts August 20th, and if I don't tag out, I move to rifle, which starts to October 8th, and then if I don't tag out, then I move to muzzy, which starts November 2nd. But beyond that, I have that late season cow tag goes from November 19th through January 31st. So if you include all the scouting and all that, I'm basically going to be in the mountains almost every weekend. If my luck is bad, into next year. It's going to be the longest hunting year. So it had me think about a topic that not too many people discuss. And it's one that's worth talking about, and that's the mental game when it comes to hunting. I kind of wrote all this out. I'm sitting here in front of my office computer right now, so bear with me. But I want to try to make this as concise as I can. So I'll just read you a little bit what I wrote here. Mental game when it comes to hunting. It is important and worth talking about some, though I don't see myself making too many more videos like this one. I think I'm one of the least qualified people to talk about this, truthfully. I think I'm mainly making this video for myself and any family members, posterity, whatever. But also to remind myself of lessons learned. I say it often, because I don't think I'm a very good hunter, truthfully. But I am self-taught and I'm usually solo. Which means that on a hunt, I have nobody to bounce ideas off of, and everything that I do, good or bad, win or lose, comes down to decisions that I make on my own. So having my head in the right space is key. It's key because you want to be calm, focused, and undeterred. You can't let stuff bother you, at least not for very long. And that can be hard, especially when you're out in the mountains by yourself, wondering if you're making the right decisions. You got nobody to talk to. Before going too much further into this, it's worth mentioning that you need support from home. And one thing that's become very clear to me is that you need the support of your wife. As the old saying goes, behind every good man stands a better woman. And that definitely applies to hunting. You can't be worried about your kids or what's going on around the house, or wondering if your wife's mad or upset at you some way. You have to settle everything on good terms before you go. You have to know that your kids are good, she's good, and everything's fine. Otherwise, it's going to gnaw at you. And you can't have that. And in a way, this is a shout out to my wife, without whose support I couldn't hunt as often as I do. A hunt is actually a commitment for both you and your wife. And in her own way, I think she's as committed to the hunt as I am. I have to say that if I get worn out and start talking, if I give her a call or start talking or texting about coming home early and start making excuses, she'll chew my ass out. And she'll keep me out there long after I'm ready to throw in the towel. And more than once, staying out there has proved productive in some manner, not necessarily a tag, but productive in some manner, and I'll get to that later. And a few times in the end, she was right, which I'll rarely admit. But, you know. So I've thought about this for a bit, and the best way I can think of to talk about keeping your headspace clear is what I'm going to call the 3 Ps. Patience, persistence, and pacing. I'll go over each, and I'll include some clips from past hunts, so this video isn't just me talking. And I'm going to pick on myself a little bit, and I'm going to own up to my mistakes, so hopefully I can make this funny and you'll get a good laugh out of it. Number 1, first P, patience. And this is important. And it's hard, particularly for me. You have to think of hunting as each time you go out, you have to think of it as a learning experience. What can I learn from this? And put your expectations down to a realistic level, which basically amounts to the stars aligning. Put all thoughts of the harvest out of your head. If you start thinking about the harvest, if you start thinking you must harvest, you're only going to stress yourself out. Even my wife says, don't do that to yourself, you're going to stress yourself out, and she's right. When you're stressed out like that, and you're focused on the harvest, you're going to make dumb decisions out of desperation, or otherwise not be completely focused when you need to be, especially when you're trying to stalk and be quiet in the woods, and you got to get into that bubble where you're in sheer concentration. Patience is so crucial, or you're never going to get to the woods in that bubble. So this first clip I'm going to show you to illustrate my point about patience. This was the start of my 2019 archery hunt. And I have to say my attitude at the start of this hunt was spot on. I think I was right on the money where I needed to be. And spoiler alert, this was a successful hunt. But my headspace was right where it needed to be at the start of this hunt. There's a lot of people up here. Made room coming in and out look like a highway. I think my level of expectations for this hunt is pretty much that of a learning experience. I don't expect to fill my tag, but I'm just trying to see what I can learn from all this. Alright, now this next clip I'm going to show you when it comes to illustrate my point about patience. This is a year I had must fill freezer in my head, and when the opportunity presented itself, I got desperate and took a couple boneheaded shots. The slightly longer version is that the elk didn't do what I was expecting. I was expecting to come straight up at me. I was right on a game trail. They were coming up at me. I was expecting to take a frontal shot at about 15, 20 yards. Instead, they stopped. Now, the bow I'm using in this clip has a 65% let off. I went the full draw, anticipating they coming straight at me. And tunnel vision. Desperate shot. Must get meat in the freezer, and I took not one but two really stupid shots. I thought it was 50 yards. It was more like 90 yards. My depth perception sucks. Whatever I think it is, it's actually about 40 yards longer than that. Now, had I been patient, had I had learning experience in my head, had I set my level of expectation down to a realistic level, I don't think I would have performed like I did in this shot. And this particular shot that I missed twice cost me a lot. Not only did it cost me meat in the freezer, on the assumption that I would have landed a good solid hit had I waited, but later on in this clip, or in the following clip, I'll show you what it cost me. So in this clip, I had to lose 2 arrows, and the elk went out, and then, much to my amazement, they came back. The herd comes back slowly, as you can see here, and I might skip forward into this, but I had a beautiful, and I ranged it out at about, I think it was 50 yards at the time. I had a beautiful broadside shot on a spike elk. Now, I have been hunting spike elk units, I don't know, 8 or 9 years now, and I've never actually had one in my sights during a hunt. So after all this time, I finally have a spiker right there. And I couldn't take the shot because I had 2 arrows out, because I shot in desperation on a cow that I was boneheaded. So not only did it cost me an elk, it cost me a spike, something that I had been chasing for years. I mean, I'm not about antler score. I'm all about meat in the freezer. But you can't focus on that. And when you do, it screws with your level of patience. And if you don't have the patience, everything else kind of unravels. Let's see if I can fast forward to that spike. There he is, right there. That's what my impatience cost me. Second P, persistence. In short, just don't ever give up. Do your best to remove the word quit from your vocabulary. Personally, I like to say that I'm too stubborn to quit and too stupid to know any better. Not quitting is a lot easier than said than done sometimes, I know. It's hard. It gets hard when you feel like you're beating your head against the wall and you're not making, any type of progress or change of luck. But try to remember, it only takes a moment to change everything around, and you never know when that moment's going to be. I think it was said somewhere, I don't remember where, that success is found where luck and persistence intersect. Okay, in this video here, I had gotten up at 3. I had worked my way into and botched 3 different stalks and 3 different groups of elk. And at some point in this video, I checked out. You'll know it when you see it. I checked out. I was done for the day. And I had made a decision at that point that I was just going to hunt my way back to camp. The wind's coming this way right now. And I think most likely they went
that way. Which is a lot further than I want to walk, and the wind's blowing that way, and it's just not happening. So I'm gonna hunt my way back to camp, I guess. But I blew it 3 times. But that is a heck of a lot more than what I was expecting today. I didn't even expect to see any elk, truthfully. At least I had the opportunity to try to work my way in. I blew it, but at least I was close enough to even attempt to work my way in. If I was in a tree stand in the right spot, I think I would have got him. If I had modern archery tackle, I think I was about 60 yards. I might have been able to do that shot with a modern bow, but not with that bow. I just didn't feel comfortable. I had to work my way in, and I couldn't do it without alerting them. So it is what it is, but hey, I was right on the scout. I guessed right on what they would do. I played the wind right. I was where I needed to be. I just couldn't make the shot. So I did, for opening day, I did a heck of a lot better than I was planning on.
Now, in this next clip, like I said, mentally I had already checked out, but I didn't quit. Mentally, I was like, okay, I'm done for the day. It's a weird balance to keep going through the motions with intent and purpose. But yet mentally, I was like, meh. So I had run into a couple groups of elk on my way back to camp because I literally doing a round robin in this valley. And so I was hunting my way back to camp. Ran into a couple more groups of elk, so I just kept at it. I did not quit. I just kept at it. I just kept trying and trying and trying. I'm going to guess I botched maybe 5 or 7 stalks that day. I mean, there was just a lot of elk around. What it was is that the elk haven't left the calving area yet. So there was a lot of cows. It was a target-rich environment is what it was. So this next clip, you're going to see exactly where my level of expectation really was. I never quit, but my level of expectation was down here, way down here.
I hit her. I hit her. That's a good trail. I hit her. Holy crap. Don't tell me I'm going to fill my tag on opening day. I want a multi-season tag. No effing way. She's bleeding like a stuck pig. I want to wait a little while longer. Oh my God, I hit her.
Now this last clip under persistence, for third P of persistence, I gotta show you. This is one of the few times I wore an action cam, and that was the cow I harvested. I ended up shooting her right through the carotid artery. I was aiming for her vitals. I ended up hitting her at the base of the neck and severed her carotid artery. Dumb luck. The bow was loud. She heard it. She jumped. Arrow missed its mark. Ended up hitting something else vital. Dumb luck. But well, my dad got a hilarious laugh out of this video when I first posted it, because when I tried to move this elk into the shade, my dad knew I was not moving that elk. He got a pretty good laugh out of that. And looking back on it, I have to laugh too. There was no moving that cow. It was just not by myself. No way. But persistence here, mainly in the pack out. Because right about this video was taken, it was, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon in August, opening day. That cow bloated up in short order. But packing that that cow out that day was rough. That was real rough. I dang near passed out. But luck and persistence intersected that day. Now, my third P, pacing. As a concept, pacing can be applied at a tactical level or a strategic level. But the summation is don't run yourself ragged. If you do, you're going to have trouble in the persistence department. So pace yourself for what time that you have. If you're going to be out a long time, then pace yourself accordingly. If you're not going to be out very long, then maybe you can go balls to the wall. So this next clip I want to show you is definitely one form of pacing, and this was when the idea of spike camps finally registered in my head. Now in this video, it was deer muzzleloader. My family, we had a trailer camp 3 miles down I'm on the back side of that hill. That peak was about 10,000 feet. We were probably camped at I'm guessing 6, something like that. And for about 5 or 6 days straight, I was hiking up from the base of that mountain, 3 miles in, over the top, and down this other side right here. And I did that every day. My wife was watching weight just drop right off of me. In the span of 7 days, I lost a noticeable amount of weight. I was putting moleskin on my blisters every morning. I ran myself ragged. And I got towards the end of that hunt where I couldn't get up the mountain anymore. I was too exhausted. I no longer had the persistence to go back in there. What I should have done was put a spike camp in there and cut my travel time in half to the hunting area. And I didn't do that. That was a pretty important lesson. But it's also something that you can apply to how many scouting trips you take, or what pace you walk at going to and from your hunting area. I mean, sometimes you have to pace yourself to what, like how many hours are left in the day, daylight versus gray light and all that. But no matter what it is you're doing, you got to pace yourself. And there's a point to mention about how to measure your success. If you measure your success by punch tags, I'm not going to show you the back side of this tag because it's too much personal information, but if you measure success by punch tags, oh look, here's a couple I punched. You're only setting yourself up for quitting. Yeah, how do you like my tag soup collection? Okay, not part of the tag soup collection. I got a regular trade collection going on here, huh? Should I be proud of that? I don't know. So, personally, I don't measure success by punch tags. I can't. If I did, if this was a measure of success, then this is an abject failure. Ouch. So, ask yourself. Oh look, 2 punch tags. Ask yourself, did I learn something? Did I have fun? Was it a good experience? So, I don't know if I show this next video clip. I don't know if I show the whole thing because it's about 7 minutes long. It's going to make this video way longer. So maybe I just show a clip of it. But this clip I was actually deer hunting. And the previous day I had found some scat in a nearby meadow, so I thought maybe I'd better hunt that in the morning. So I made myself a makeshift blind. hiked all the way back in the dark, is I think about 1.5 or 2 miles in, something like that. I don't remember. Froze my butt off for about 1.5 hours before first gray light because I got there faster than I thought I would. And I had, how I labeled the file was once in a lifetime experience. This was one of my best video clips ever, and it was an encounter that was awesome, and I didn't even see a deer. That to me was a successful hunt that day, and it made my whole day. And it was a hike, and it remains one of the highlights of all my time hunting. Now there's different mental stages during a hunt. You definitely go through them, and I think Cliff Gray, I found his channel not too long ago, in his video, The Surprising Reason Mountain Hunters Quit, he goes over it far better than I could, so I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. He explains it far better than I can, and I'll link to his video in the description. So instead, I'll just tell you a couple ways that I deal with it. This is just me. And admittedly, I'm a little superstitious. In a weird, I don't know, not too weird way, I guess, but I tend to think of the mountains as kind of an entity, or the mountain. I'll say it's the mountain. One thing I like to say is the mountain giveth and the mountain taketh. Another thing I like to say is a mountain doesn't tolerate a fool for very long. But the first thing I'll tell myself is that I have to pay my dues. You just have to put in the work, and eventually your time will come. The second thing I'll tell myself is what I call the Murphy's Law of hunting, at least according to my own thoughts. And the short version is that you always find what you're not looking for. And I've done this a lot, where I'll tell myself I'm looking for elk when I'm really looking for deer, or vice versa. What I'm really doing is just reverse psychology on myself, and it keeps me moving when mentally I'm wanting to check out and call it a day. But ultimately, in the end, you have to laugh and you have to enjoy yourself. So Murphy's Law of hunting, or at least the way I think of it, is the way where I just laugh at the situation. And in the end, I enjoy myself. And ultimately, that's the point. Aside from meat in the freezer. Anyway, I think that's about all I can say that will be on topic for this video. And you have a good one, and I'll see you on the mountain.